In this short video, I want to discuss a little bit about what a good CTR is in Google Ads. So much like advertisers can get quite caught up on what's a good CPC to be paying in Google Ads, people get quite caught up on what a good CTR or click-through rate is as well. If you're not exactly sure what click-through rate refers to, check the link in the video description. I've got a link to another video that talks about the CTR or click-through rate concept at a sort of more general level and explains why it's an important thing to consider. But in terms of what average CTR should be for your type of business and industry, it's very dependent on what it is you're doing. Now, myself at a sort of ballpark level, usually when I set up a Google search ads campaign, I'm aiming for around 4 to 5% as a starting click-through rate. That to me is an indication that the campaign is reasonably well set up as a starting point. But as you can see here from this local IQ search advertising benchmarks, I'm not 100% sure how they get this data. I think it might come through WordStream or something like that. But you can see here, there's a huge sort of breadth really to the average CTR or click-through rate by industry according to the data they're tracking, ranging from apparel having pretty low average CTR, sort of low twos, all the way up to things like arts and entertainment having 15+% CTR. So I'll leave a link to this in the video description. This is quite a helpful handy guide, but bear in mind that every business is different, every country is different, location is different. Even if you find, say, the average CTR for a legal firm and it happens to be in the United States, well, if you're from Australia or the UK or New Zealand, it's probably going to be different just because of different market preferences and so on, and consumer behavior within those markets. So that's why my view is really, if you're worried what a good CTR should be for your business and advertising on Google, the main thing is to set up your ads as well as you can. So have, relevant keywords, good use of match types, negative keywords, good ad copy, relevant landing pages, and so on. And then see what you get as an initial CTR and work to improve it from there. I do think that typically, rather than looking at a benchmark and saying, well, I have a health and fitness related business and, the average CTR for 2022 is 6.39%, and I'm only getting 5%, so my business is doing a terrible job at Google Ads advertising. It might be that if you start and you get 5% to begin with, and then you work to improve over time by reviewing search terms and excluding, irrelevant terms using negative keywords and improving the precision of your match type usage and improving your ad copy and adding more ad extensions, you benchmark against that 5% and you grow it, and it might get to 6 or 7 or 8. Who knows, right? The key thing I think is just set a initial benchmark based off your performance so far and then work to improve against that. Averages are useful. They're sort of industry averages, and you can Google for other providers of them as well. Just jump on Google and search something like average CTR for, US-based law firm, or average CTR for personal trainer on Google Ads, or anything like that. There'll usually be all sorts of various data points and sources you can call on. Some more accurate than others. They give you a handy kind of insight into what might be happening in the industry. But as I said, every business, every location, every industry is so different that it can be very, very hard to kind of properly assess yourself against these benchmarks. The key thing in terms of what a good CTR is to set up your advertising as well as you can and then work to refine it over time so that your CTR improves. And if you're improving against your own performance, then that's ultimately the key measure I'd be looking out for. Obviously, if you've set up your keywords and your ads and you've got something, rubbish like 0.5% CTR, you've probably done something wrong. Or it might be that your ads are delivering quite a lot on the search partners network and you haven't actually sort of broken down and assess the difference between regular Google search and search partners. This is a really common thing that I find in Google Ads. People will actually not realize that if they've got search partners running, you can segment your performance between search partners and regular Google search. And sometimes you're getting, actually a really healthy CTR on regular Google Ads with regular Google search. But when you go to the search partners, that's getting a whole lot of extra impressions and dragging your average CTR down across the campaign. So something to bear in mind there as well. But yeah, the key thing is to set your own kind of internal benchmark and work to improve it. Just like if you're going to go run a half marathon, for example, you might set yourself a goal with your first half marathon of saying, look, I ran it, I just wanted to finish it. I got 3 hours. It took me 3 hours to finish it. And next year, the goal is to run it in 2.5 hours. Now, there are people who can run a half marathon in about an hour. I think like the sort of world-class athletes can do it. You're probably never going to be able to do it in an hour. I certainly won't be able to. So there's not a huge amount of point in me really comparing against that benchmark record performance. I guess you could probably find an average hours taken to finish a half marathon. But the key thing in most cases is to say, well, every person is different. start and sort of put your best foot forward and then see where you get and improve from there. And if you do that with your Google Ads CTR, as long as you're not well down the, sort of, 0.5%, 1%, 2%, something like that in an industry that would typically have a higher average CTR, and as long as you're not in that position, you're probably doing okay. And then you can work to actually improve the performance of your ads by taking sensible steps to improve CTR. So if you've got any questions on this, please do let me know. Happy to kind of assess anything that you send through as a comment. So if you want to comment below and say, hey, I'm advertising in the following location and industry and my CTR is X, does this sound reasonable to you? I can give you some pointers. Otherwise, if you found this video helpful, please do like it. Please subscribe for more free Google Ads advice, and I'll see you next time.